Hey, time out. Telling someone that they need to have faith is trash. Huh. Yo, time out. You should try magic mushrooms instead. Hey, Isaac G. You sure sound like a fun guy. Time out. Doubt is not a virtue. Doubt is not a part of faith. All right? It sounds like we need to unpack that a little bit. Hey everyone, my name is Josh. Welcome to Overtime, a series of videos where we look at some of the most popular comments in the comment section on our Time Out series, and we do a deep dive to unpack the conversation a bit more and have some dialogue. If you're a Christian watching this video, we hope you'll walk away feeling encouraged about your faith, and if you're not a Christian, we hope you'll at least better understand the positions we hold and why we believe them. Now normally, on these videos, we're looking to present data to be examined and weighed. However, because of the nature of faith and doubt, we're looking to peek inside the tent of the Christian worldview and how we process faith in the world in which we live today. This conversation is a bit more about the way that doubt and faith actually work together in the Christian faith. If you're looking for black and white hard data, just a warning that this will not be the focus of this particular video. For the fair-minded skeptic, however, this is an opportunity to see inside the way a rationally minded Christian, now go ahead and make a joke about that being oxymoronic, might approach these weighty matters. For my fellow Christians, this video will serve to address the reality that we all have to contend with at some point in our Christian faith journey. How do we reconcile the tension between faith and doubt that is inherent in the imperfect world in which we live? You see, recently in our Time Out series, we addressed doubt and faith, and that has brought up a lot of discussion in our comment section, so we'll dive deeper into that today and try to respond to some of your thoughts. You see, oftentimes in Christian circles, we feel that doubt is the enemy of faith, and we feel we need to be 100% certain about everything pertaining to our faith. And I'm here to tell you today that that is absolutely not true. Doubt is not the opposite of Christian faith. It's just a sign that faith is struggling. Doubt is not even the enemy of faith. In fact, doubt is necessary for great faith. But it's important to understand what the definitions of the words faith and doubt might be. Faith, if you remember from our last video, was defined as trust in evidence. And while this is true, the word encompasses a few more ideas that are important to this video. So to that list of trust, we're going to add the words belief, hope, and love. So in total, we have 4 ways to think about the word faith. Doubt is best defined as a feeling of uncertainty or lack of conviction. In the religious sense, it can be an uncertainty in your trust in God or your beliefs in Christian ideas, etc. The easiest of these to address is belief. In other words, one aspect of faith is when we are able to say to ourselves and others that despite not seeing, I can acknowledge the existence of God. Jesus speaks of faith this way at the end of the Gospel of John. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. Notice then, it's not that faith makes us believe, it's actually the other way around. Belief is one part of our faith, but not the whole of it. There's an analogy I love to use when explaining Christian faith. Now imagine 2 men standing on opposite sides of a great chasm. And there's a rope extending from one side of the chasm going all the way across to the other side. One of the men gets on a bicycle and begins to pedal across the rope. And on the other side, the other man immediately thinks to himself, there's no way this dude's gonna make it. I just do not believe it. But the guy on the bike keeps going. He's halfway, 3/4 way, he's closing in, and all of a sudden he's across. And he says to the guy who was standing on the other side, do you believe that I can cross back to the other side on my bike? And the answer from that guy is, well, now I believe. I just saw you do it with my own eyes. Then the man on the bike says, well, then show me your faith and get on the back of the bicycle with me. Do you see the difference? Belief is certainly part of faith, but there's something more to faith, isn't there? And this leads us to the next thing. Faith is trust. You can believe that the man will be able to cross the tightrope on his bicycle, but that doesn't mean you'll trust your life to him as he does it. And by the way, that's probably a good move. See, you can believe in God, and you can believe many things about God with a lot of great conviction, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you trust him. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says it this way: do not worry about your life, about what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more important than food, and the body more important than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? What is Jesus challenging here? You see, he's not challenging your beliefs per se. He's really challenging your trust in God. You may believe that God exists and that God created the universe, but do you trust your life to him? Will you trust that he will take care of you, that his promises will come true for you? So what is trust? It's the willingness to risk. Christian faith risks. Marriage is an act of trust, for example. When you marry someone, you are risking your entire life to that person. You risk that they will honor you, love you, and treat you with respect. You see, we give our lives over to God in faith, trusting that he will do well by us. It's not enough to believe that God has the power. We must also trust that he will use that power for good. Furthermore, trust is personal. Our trust is in the person of God, not simply the power of God. Our trust is in who God is. You trust the love and goodness of God. Christians have committed themselves to trusting God's example of love, forgiveness, and mercy, even when the seduction to trust the worldly authorities of status, money, or political power may be tempting. We have dedicated ourselves to trusting God and leaning not on our own wisdom and understanding, like Proverbs 3:5 says. Trusting God is what we choose to do, even when it may be difficult to believe. But not even trust is the whole of Christian faith. We can believe in God and we can trust in God, but do we hope? You see, if we return to the analogy of marriage, you can believe in your spouse and you can even trust your spouse. But what if you have no hope for your spouse? What if you do not hope that she will achieve her aspirations? Or you do not hope that you'll get closer to him? Your marriage has belief, it has trust, but what if it has no hope? Is it even faithful? So there must be another side of Christian faith. Faith is hope. To hope is to wait with a sense of power and wisdom will one day make right all of the evils of this world and every pain we have gone through. If we believe in God and then trust God to save us through the work of Christ, then we certainly have hope to one day enjoy his heaven. In other words, hope is the part of faith that looks positively to the future. And hope is a two-way emotion. When we hope both for the other and for ourselves. When we hope in God, we hope for his good to be true on earth as it is in heaven. And we hope for each other's good, and we hope for our own eternal good. But we can't even say that hope is the pinnacle of Christian faith. What if we hope, but our hope has no love? Then our hope becomes perverse, like when hoping someone gets their just desserts. That doesn't sound like Christian faith, does it? You see, Christian faith doesn't hope for bad, it hopes for what is good. So finally, Christian faith is love. And by love, I mean the sort of love that is expressed in devotion and commitment. Christian faith is devotion and commitment to God, to God's mission, and to one another. This is why the New Testament is able to speak of faith as a verb, as something in action, because we put our faith into motion when we act in love, when we accept one another, concern ourselves with each other, and see to one another's needs. We are expressing the aspect of faith that is love. So that is Christian faith. It is belief, it's trust, it's hope, and it's love. And with that definition, we can further define one more thing. What is doubt? You see, I've said before that doubt is not the opposite of Christian faith. Rather, doubt is a sign that faith is struggling. I hope that we can all agree that healthy Christian faith is the combination of belief, trust, hope, and love. What if you believe in God and you hope for all good things and are committed in love, but you struggle with trust in God? Does that mean that you don't have faith because you don't have all four aspects? No, it means your faith is struggling in one aspect, and the absence of that thing is what we call doubt. You still have your faith, but your faith doesn't feel complete. And I want to affirm you in no uncertain terms, even if you struggle with one or more of these aspects of faith, you still absolutely have faith. Faith is still faith even when one is finding it hard to believe. If you struggle to believe, but you have hope and commitment, that is faith, even though it's struggling faith. The key is to focus on the aspects of faith that you do have. Given time to heal, the faith you do have can grow deeper. But whatever you do not let doubt convince you that you have no faith. You do. Finally, I want you to consider one more person who has faith: God. For example, he believes that creation is good and that all things can be redeemed, and God acts on that belief. He trusts us with his mission to take care of his children and to grow into the likeness of Christ. And trust involves risk. God risks, and sometimes that risk results in pain for God anytime people violate his trust. God hopes. He yearns for the best outcome for all people. He hopes in you and in me, and that we will fulfill our promises to him. And the promise that matters most is the love of God and love of neighbor. And finally, God loves. He is committed to and devoted to us. He rejoices in our lives, our salvation, and our maturing faith. He acts on our behalf, caring for us in our pain, being patient with us when our faith is struggling, and finally taking us home to be with him. When you are in doubt about one or more of these areas, that's okay. Doubt is a vehicle that is meant to be used to get to a destination. Don't let yourself simply settle in that doubt. Explore, grow, learn, dialogue, ask questions. Thanks so much, and until next time, we'll see you in the comments.